Hello and welcome to the Fishing Guide Podcast. Tell you what, we have a special guest, and we always have special guests, but this one's really special because he lives in Northwest Arkansas. And Chris Johnson actually decided to come over. This is like the second big trophy that's been in his house, been in the thing. Travis Harriman come over with his trophy and had to show, but this is the blue one, which is so much better.
I don't know that it's better, any great big trophy is awesome, but those blue ones do have a special thing out there.
Exactly. Everyone wants a blue one. So just don't want blue lights behind you.
Yeah, and exactly.
So Chris, tell them, how did you win this trophy? How'd this come to be?
Well, this was, I won this trophy over at the Arkansas River in the Bass Nation qualifier. They do 4 of those a year. And this was the second one of the season. And I won it over there through the Bass Nation.
Yeah, and it's like a step to get there, So explain how you started your year to end up with this.
Well, nowadays there's 4 qualifiers in the Bass Nation. You pay an entry fee and fish any one of the qualifiers.
But first you have to qualify for the qualifier, right?
Not in today's format.
Oh, all right.
So there's multiple different ways. It's a little different than it was in the years past in the Bass Nation. So this tournament is an entry fee. You pay an entry fee just like most events and go fish this tournament. And the top 20 from this tournament qualify for the Bass Nation National Championship.
Right.
That'll be on Grand in November. You can also qualify, say Arkansas would qualify through their state championship through the Bass Nation. And so many from that tournament will go to the national championship as well. Right. And each state gets to do that. So there's kind of a couple of different ways you can go about it. You can go through your state, or you can pay an entry fee and go through a qualifier, all going to the national championship, in which you can get 3 berths there, go to the direct Bassmasters Classic.
Yeah.
So
the big
nation qualifiers, yes.
Yeah.
So
so do you belong to B.A.S.S club here in Northwest Arkansas?
I do.
Give them a shout out.
Yeah, I actually belong to a club that me and Lucy have. That's called the Arkansas Adult Youth Bass Anglers. That's a club that we have here. But I'm also a member of Tri-State. I'm also a member of Anvil Jaw. So I'm a member of quite a few clubs in the state, as well as being on the board of directors for the Bass Nation in the state of Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a member of a lot of clubs. I fish a lot of clubs still now to qualify for the state championship, so that, again, to give myself another opportunity through the state tournament to possibly get to this. So this year, through the state championship, I could be trying to qualify for the 2025 national championship through the state, and then follow that up by fishing the qualifiers. If I don't get it through that route, I can go this route to try to get the national championship. So a lot of different options there for anglers that are in the Bass Nation to somehow make their dreams come through of fishing the Bassmasters Classic.
So let's talk a little bit about the tournament, because looky who brought some hardware. So tell us what lures you were using.
So on the first day of the tournament, was fishing the Arkansas River there out of Muskogee, and I fished that river quite a lot. But these are pretty standard fare for river baits. But the first day of the tournament, when I got out there, the river was running quite a bit low, which the Arkansas River can fluctuate hourly. Yeah. And the first day, I believe it weighed 19.6, and I caught all those on a half-ounce black and blue flipping jig with a sapphire blue rage crawl. That's how I caught all those fish and fishing. Actually, I was fishing off the main river in what I call jetty ponds, and those are they'll run a big jetty out across the river to route the current, and then they'll create these ponds, and you can get in those ponds, and they're surrounded by rock and some laydowns and things like that. And so I was flipping that jig through that rock real slow, fishing it out 3 or 4 feet, and that's how I caught the 19 pounds on the first day.
And this is just a regular rubber skirt. This isn't living rubber or anything.
No,
like
it's just
that.
a silicone skirt.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
And who's
that is an Arkansas custom tackle jig that we build.
All right. You poured everything?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We build that thing from scratch.
We'll ask you after a while how people can buy these things.
Okay.
So,
yep.
And then go on. What do you got next?
So on the late in the first day, I caught 4 of my big fish the first day on that jig.
Right.
But later in the day, the river began to rise a little bit, and I was able to catch a really key fish real late in the afternoon the first day on a white and chartreuse tandem willow-leaf spinnerbait. So Colorado willow combo,
right.
Chartreuse and white, had a pearl zoom split tail on it. The water was stained in there, but relatively clean. And
this is another one that you guys make.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Arkansas custom tackle spinnerbait, 3/8 ounce. So the next day, on the second day of the tournament, I went back to that particular pond that I felt like was the best. There was 3 together that I was fishing, and a handful of boats in there too. We were sharing the water, and I got in there, and I was really planning on doing my work with that jig again the next day.
Right.
The river had come up about a foot, and when I got in there, they just didn't want anything to do with that jig the second day.
Really?
And so going off the bite, I got on spinnerbait the first day, or the jig, or the spinnerbait that afternoon. I picked up my spinnerbait and very quickly began to catch them again in those ponds on the white and chartreuse willow-leaf spinnerbait. But I was having to fish it. There was a lot of guys in there fishing, but they were all fishing really fast, really close to the bank, and most of them were throwing crankbaits, chatterbaits, and I was setting off the rock a little bit, and these were all pre-spawn fish that were just kind of hanging out a little bit, and I was slow rolling that bait. I would throw it right against the rocks, and then just slow reel it all the way out, letting that bait kind of drop into the water column. And those bigger fish were out off that rock just a little bit. And this bait was the key bait. I caught 4 good fish on it that morning. And then later in the day, as the sun got up, I would transition over to a 3/8 ounce double willow leaf mouse colored. As the sun got high, it seemed like they'd kind of get away from that white and chartreuse.
Right.
And I caught a key fish the second 2 days of the tournament on this bait.
Right.
So that caught me the 17-15 the second day. All the fish came on a spinnerbait. And then the third day went right back to the same water again. Started off with the white and chartreuse spinnerbait. I caught 3 key fish pretty quick. And then later in the day, I caught my third fish that I needed, and a quality fish on the mouse color after the sun got up. And I was fishing both of those baits the same, just fishing really diligently, really slow, and just going over the same water multiple times, making lots of casts. And they just wanted that bait moving a little slower. They just weren't quite up there active for me yet.
So you bring in all that weight and everything. They come out and give you the trophy. Then what do? You go call your wife. She was down there, Lucy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she got there. It was looking pretty good that I might have a chance to win. So she came on down Friday morning and was there for the weigh-in on Friday, and made it super special because she's been at a lot of events for me, and we have a special time fishing tournaments, and I absolutely love it when she's there. And so she was in the crowd hooping and hollering. You can always hear her. She makes a thing about it. And so that made it even that much better, along with 2 of my daughters were there as well.
Right.
And so it made it super cool. And, the truth of the matter is you think a lot about, I'd say this and say that if I ever get to win, all these things you would think about. And then all that just disappears. And I'll just hold it up. That's what I know to do right now, So
there you go. So you have a Lowrance hat on, but let's tell us more about a Lowrance hat and Chris Johnson.
Well,
Chris Johnson, this Chris Johnson.
Yeah. I wear this old Lowrance hat, and everything I have is Lowrance products, but when it comes to electronics, I'm pretty archaic when it comes to that. And,
Right.
I've got an old 2230 flasher on my bow. That's what I fish
Right.
with all the time. That's the only thing I have for a depth finder on the front. I have a LDT 3001 Lowrance surface temp gauge on the front that I use,
Right.
and a couple of older HDS units on my console for standard graphing, no side imaging, no down imaging, no forward facing of any kind. And that's just what I use. And I've used Lowrance all my life.
Right.
That's what I learned to fish with and use, and it's what I still use today.
So you're the person that went out there, and while everyone else had spent some money on electronics, you, on the other hand, if you're spending it, it's because you can't find something to replace what you're using.
Yes, yeah.
That's the problem.
It is. I watch on Marketplace and try to buy them when I can. They're not making those for me anymore. So
No, I'm pretty sure they're not making them. But I mean, how do you address people that are like, oh, you need to get like Live Scope, or you need to get Active Target, you need to get that. Why?
That is a question. That is a statement that I get all the time.
Right.
And, for me, I try to explain it like this, that, this is how I've fished my entire life. And I've looked at that little red circle spinning around on that flasher since I was 11 years old. I'm comfortable with it. I love it. And I enjoy that. I enjoy looking at it that way. I enjoy fishing the way I do. And so I stay with it. It's because I'm passionate about the way I grew up fishing. I'm not a hater of the new technology. I have nothing against anybody that wants to do whatever they can. And I truly believe that a guy can go out with whatever equipment he chooses to use and be a competitor if he wants to put the work in and the effort in. And he wants to dream big enough that irregardless of the mechanics, my boat's a 1986 model, my engine's an 87, and it's just what I just choose not to use that technology only because it's what I choose.
Right. Do you think it's actually the new technology has opened up the bank, because there's more people now? They're all out there.
Yes.
And they're all using electronics. And here you are by yourself. You're like, gosh, I hope I'm doing the right thing. And then you bring the blue home.
It has opened up the fishing. I will say it is changing the fishing either way. Even the shallow fishing is changing because of the new technology. I do have a lot more water to myself than I had, say, 15 years ago. The fish are still as smart and they're used to the pressure. But I'm still convinced that with the right presentation and the right bait at the right time, you can catch them just as good. And I'm enjoying that part of it. Truthfully, the last few years since forward facing, I've had some of the best fishing I've had, some of the best tournament, finishes that I've had using my old technology. And the thing I see mostly with so many guys is, with everyone, is I don't think it's the technology causing them a problem. I think it's indecision on how they need to fish a lot. I know they're trying to do, I go out, do I do this? Or do I do this? Man, I know how to fish shallow, but and any time that you're a competitor and you have indecision,
that's right,
it's going to affect your performance. And for me, there's no other decision. This is how we're doing it, and I don't have any other distractions of, hey, look at these fish out here, And for me, that's just the way I choose to do it. And I figure, if I can get a really great finish every few years, just sticking with what I know how to do, and let the chips fall and be satisfied. There's tournaments that I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm going to get beat with the new technology or forward facing. I know I am, but I go finish the best I can. I accept my finish, and I go to the next one going, one of these will be my tournament.
Right.
And I want to be 100%, just like this tournament on the river. I had zero distractions of anything other
Right.
than fishing the way that
Just
I needed to.
what the water flow was.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
What
And
navigation wise and the
yes,
water flow.
just let that come together and
Mhm.
fish the fish. And I believe in that. And I think the biggest problem is just that people get distracted.
Right. Well, let's go Grand Lake. That's where the qualifiers go to.
Yep.
And so Grand Lake. How far away is that from your house?
From my house, it's about an hour and 40 minutes.
You can't just
maybe.
jog there, though, can you?
Not quite, but I can be there pretty quick. So it's pretty awesome. Normally I would be a little. Sometimes when you get a big championship on a body of water that you know really well and you fished
Right.
a lot, for me, I get a little nervous about it because compared to a body I don't know well, because I know too much about what's going on over there.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to this tournament. It's in a really great time of the year, and
What's the date on it?
it's going to be November 6th through the 9th.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Grand Lake in November.
Yeah, a guy could actually throw something like this by that time, and that'll be just fine.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that tournament.
Right.
And as well, looking forward to, I made the Nationals here a few years ago, and I actually still have the numbers they stuck on my boat at that tournament. My boat number was number 52, and I left that number on there. I was like, I'm not going to peel that number off until I make another one. Just
there you go.
that way, every time I look at that on my console and go, man, you got to get back there somehow.
Yep.
And to be able to get back there and say, I'm going to get to peel that number off, it's kind of special to me right now. So even had one of my co-anglers be like, man, what's that number all about? I was like, that number's the last time I made Nationals, and I'm wanting to make another one.
So let's talk a little bit about your history. So in the past, you've had I'm not going to say colorful. I'd say you've had an interesting background because you came into the fishing industry, and then tell us real quick in a thumbnail where you came from and what you did.
Well, I came from the fishing world. My dad was a tournament angler and his friends, so I lived in that fishing world, and that's kind of how all this fishing dreaming came about. I actually went to work for a large marine dealer in our area when I was, young, 19, 20, I guess, and worked for that dealer for quite a number of years. And then me and a gentleman there started our own shop and did that for quite a number of years.
Yep.
Working on old boats and just doing that. And somewhere in there, I kind of got out of that, and I went to setting floor tile for a while. And a good friend of mine took me into that and trained me how to do it really well. And I did that for quite a number of years up until, I probably did it 10 or 11 years at that time. And but I had an opportunity to buy a tackle store and get into the retail business, and through some hard knocks in that, we went through owning our own business, and then I went to work for we'd closed that store, and I went to work for another very popular store, a hook,
national
line, and sinker.
retailer.
I went to work. Yeah, I actually went to work for Hook, Line, Sinker for a while.
Right.
But during that, I had an opportunity to go to work for B.A.S.S.
Right.
And that was a really great experience through all that, to learn retail, go through that, all of it in the fishing world that kind of brought me to that point, and really got a great education in retail and marketing and big box retail and how things are done, and did that for quite a number of years. And truth of the matter was, I wasn't getting to go fishing any. I wasn't fishing any tournaments through that time, and that part was really hard. So I actually got out of that and went back to doing tile and kind of get back to fishing again, and somehow I've ended up right here, having some of the greatest success after all that. But that also led me to understanding the tackle business. It led me into kind of creating my own little company, Arkansas Custom Tackle. And we now operate that. I still set floor tile every day.
Right.
And I do this as something I can do in the future and building that company. And so far it's been fantastic.
Right.
So it's been super cool.
Tell us what you make there. I know what you make there, but tell us what products that you make there.
So we
custom made.
Yeah, we make a full line of custom spinner baits from really a quarter all the way up to ounce and a quarter spinner baits, all
Right.
different styles. We sell them in all the local stores here and off our Facebook page at Arkansas Custom Tackle. So we make a full line of spinner baits, willow leaves, Colorados. We make a full line of nighttime baits that have a rattle on the shaft that we do extremely well with. So complete line of spinner baits. We do a complete line of flipping jigs. And another bait that we do a lot of is the ball head jig that like a living rubber. We use the living round rubber on a ball head jig for a spider jig, and do lots and lots of those, as well as an old school bucktail jig. And we do that. That's probably one of my number one baits that I build and sell.
Really? What kind of head does that have?
It has a ball head on it.
Oh,
It's just a standard ball head, what I call a muddler collar jig. So it's got a fuzzy tied collar on it with bucktail. It's extremely popular in this area, and it is a fish catcher, old school bait. And we do thousands of those.
Really?
As well as I also tie a kind of like what you'd call a preacher jig. It's a big bucktail jig with feathers, along with shaky heads and you name it, all kinds of stuff. But our main thing is the spinner baits and those jigs. Is what we really do well on.
Good spinner bait, high quality spinner baits are hard to find.
Yes,
And as we know, they grow them. Like they grow people who make spinner baits in Northwest Arkansas.
Yes.
So Keith Brashears was one of them until he sold his company. And actually, I fished I fished B.A.S.S regionals or something with Keith Brashears and who else was in it? I was in it.
There was another
Greg
guy.
Hackney was in that team, and there was like four big.
I think Ricky Green, his son was in that field
we
as well. There was some hammers in there.
We had some hammers in that.
Yeah.
But he actually made us. Keith actually made us some spinner baits in the parking lot.
Oh, nice.
That I used.
Yeah.
Still had one, but the other day I was like, I'm using it, man.
That's awesome.
But I mean, it just goes to show that, like, there's more to building a spinner bait than just putting a collar on it and some blades on it.
Yes.
And so.
Yeah, a spinner bait is one of those, and growing up, I didn't like throwing spinner bait much, but began to throw one quite a lot. And my stepdad, Dr. Jim Wolf, was a spinner bait guru. He fished with Gene Vandiver and some of those guys, and I mean, they were diehard spinner bait guys. And so I started fishing with Doc a lot, he was always, I was always complaining about spinner bait, and he's like, man, if you'd quit belly baking about it and just throw that thing, you'd catch a lot more fish on it. And I took that to heart and really began to throw it and really began to catch a lot more fish on it. And kind of in a frustration, tired of paying more than I wanted to for spinner bait, because I'm kind of tightwad when it comes to fishing equipment. I don't want to. I hate paying too much, but I started building my own, and through that, I began to realize that there is a lot of a spinner bait is not just some wire and some blades. Head configurations, wire length are all very, very important in making a spinner bait really work well. And that's kind of how I got into even the lure company. Was I built my own, then started selling a few, and then selling a few more. And, and learning some of the tweaks to do on a spinner bait, you can really change the action of the bait, how well it'll work for you, how well it'll catch fish. All those things make a big difference. And the ones we sell, I try to keep a balance of what are all the right things, and really produce a good bait that everyone can catch fish on.
Right. So, well, that takes us up to Tackle Time. Tackle Time sponsored by PICO Lures. Of course, we're getting right into that period of time where crankbaits for crappie, trolling crankbaits, and everyone's going to be out here going round and round. I'll be able to sit right here and watch people go round and round all day catching crappie on PICO crankbaits. So if you want to check out PICO Lures, you can check them out at PicoLures.com. They have a full line of hard and soft baits. They even have some terminal tackle some Vanguard tackle that you can check out that it's very reasonable price that's inside. There's hooks, swivels, some stuff like that you're looking for. If they want to find out more of where they can get the same stuff that you use, where would they go?
The best place to go right now would be just go to our Facebook page. That's all we have. And just go to Arkansas Custom Tackle. You can send us a message there on Messenger. We also have our phone numbers listed on there as contact info and stuff. But that's the best way. Have had a little boom from this tournament win on building baits that, hey, I wasn't prepared for that. I thought ain't nobody gonna call me wanting what I threw over there, but I've had a lot of people call and request those baits, and been staying busy here lately. But Arkansas Custom Tackle on Facebook, just to send us a message there. We can get with you and figure out what you want. Also do a lot of custom work. So if you've got an old bait that you used to throw that you're like, man, I can't find it anywhere anymore, reach out. I've got quite a few other head designs as well.
Right.
We'll probably come up with something that's what you used to throw or are looking for and get it built.
There you go. There you have it. Like I always like to end the show, make sure you keep your hook sharp, your lures in the water.